Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone openly disrespected you? They threw sarcastic remarks your way, words disguised as jokes, but in truth meant to belittle and undermine you. And the worst part? You stood there, angry, embarrassed, unsure how to respond in a way that reclaimed your strength, that made them realize you are not someone to be walked over. So what do? How do you turn silence into power? How do you make those who look down on you stop and realize they completely misjudged who you are? In this video, I'll show you sharp, subtle, and powerful psychological techniques that will not only help you regain your confidence, but also command respect from everyone around you, even from those who once dismissed you. And stay with me until the very end, because you'll learn exactly what to say and how to act when someone tries to mock you in front of others. Trust me, once you understand these principles, no one will ever dare to underestimate you again. Before we learn how to respond, let's look straight into the root of the problem. Why do you keep finding yourself in situations where you're being disrespected? Why are some people so quick to put you down without even a hint of guilt? The truth is, sometimes the issue isn't that they hate you. It's not even because you're lacking in any way. The issue lies in the opportunistic nature of some people. There are those who constantly seek to stand out, to rise above, not through their own merit but by stepping on others. They don't care who you are or what your worth is. They see you as a stepping stone to boost their fragile ego. If you don't know how to set clear boundaries, if you don't make them hesitate from the very beginning, you become an easy target. But earning respect doesn't mean flexing power or proving yourself at every turn. It simply means making others understand you're not someone who can be used, and if necessary, you have the strength to walk away from any environment that doesn't value you, whether it's work, friendships, or even family. Of course, the best way is always prevention, to establish respect from the very first interaction. So how do you do that? Right now, I'll share with you specific strategies to help you face and handle situations where someone tries to diminish you, whether in the workplace, in social circles, or even within your own home. 1. First impressions decide everything. Did you know within the first 5 seconds of meeting you, people unconsciously judge you? They decide whether you're someone to respect or someone they can disregard. And the truth is, once that first impression is formed, it's incredibly hard to change. That's why you should never underestimate the power of the very first moment. When meeting someone for the first time, whether in a professional setting, a social situation, or a personal relationship, remember this rule. Always stand up to greet them and maintain eye contact. Standing up not only shows politeness, but it also sends a subtle yet powerful message. I am not beneath you. On the other hand, if you remain seated and reach out your hand, you immediately place yourself in a lower position. They'll be looking down at you, and human psychology tends to associate being looked down on with being inferior or easily dominated. There's another common mistake people make, often without realizing it. They look at the other person's hand when shaking hands, instead of looking into their eyes. It may seem small, but lowering your head to look at their hand signals a lack of confidence. In that moment, you appear submissive, someone easy to manipulate. In contrast, when you look directly into the other person's eyes, calm, steady, but not confrontational, you're sending a clear message. I know who I am, and I'm not someone you can easily overlook. Eye contact is the silent weapon of the confident. It's a form of nonverbal communication that speaks volumes about your presence and inner strength, long before you say a single word. So the next time you meet someone, whether a friend, colleague, business partner, or even a stranger, remember this. Stand up. Look them in the eye. Let your confidence speak before any words are exchanged. That is the first step, the foundation for earning respect from the very first moment. 2. When you're interrupted in public, don't let them get used to disrespecting you. One of the most subtle ways people show disrespect is by cutting you off mid-sentence. Especially in group conversations where all eyes are on you, someone suddenly interrupts, as if what you were saying didn't matter at all. This isn't just a lack of manners, it's a test. A test to see if you have the courage to protect your own voice. And if you stay silent, if you back down, you're silently giving them permission to do it again and again. So when someone interrupts you, stay calm, but don't give in. First, look them directly in the eyes, firm and steady, without anger. A gaze held long enough and strong enough sends a clear message. I saw what you did, and I don't accept it. You'd be surprised how often that alone is enough to make the other person feel uneasy, to realize their behavior was out of line. Then, gently but firmly, say something like, "May I finish what I was saying?" Or, "Let me complete my thought first." And here's the key. You don't need to get angry. You don't need to argue. Composure is your power. When you can assert your boundaries with calm strength, you show the world you know how to protect your space. And no one crosses that space easily. Never be afraid to reclaim your voice. Because if you let them get used to cutting you off, you'll always be the one who's overlooked. Not just by them, but by everyone watching. Respect is not freely given, it's earned, moment by moment. Every time you stand up for yourself, even in something as small as not allowing someone to interrupt you in public. And when you do that, people will start looking at you differently, with something they may not have shown you before. Respect. 3. When you're mocked or humiliated among friends, let them fall into their own trap. Few things are more humiliating than becoming the butt of a joke in front of a crowd, especially when it comes from someone you consider a friend or colleague, someone who should respect you. Unfortunately, in every group, there's always that one person who tries to be funny by putting others down. They throw out a seemingly harmless joke, but beneath the surface, it's a carefully disguised jab, sarcastic, condescending, and disrespectful. Most people react in one of 3 ways. They get angry, fight back, or look visibly embarrassed. But the truth is, the faster you react, the weaker you look. The one who controls their emotions is the one in control of the situation. So what should you do? Do the opposite. Pretend you didn't even hear the joke. Show no signs of anger or discomfort. Stay calm, look the person in the eye, and say, "Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it?" And do you know what happens next? Most sarcastic jokes only work when they catch you off guard, when you're too surprised to respond. But when the person is forced to repeat their joke in front of everyone, they suddenly become self-conscious. They realize how petty, tasteless, or awkward their words actually sound when repeated. You don't need to insult them back. You don't need to argue. Just by staying calm and asking a seemingly innocent question, you flip the entire power dynamic. What's the result? You hold your ground, maintain your composure, and refuse to get pulled into their emotional trap. Meanwhile, they lose control of the moment and are forced to confront the disrespectfulness of their own behavior under the watchful eyes of everyone around. Remember this: calmness is your sharpest weapon in moments like this. You don't prove strength by shouting louder. You prove it by letting the other person expose their own weakness. And when you master this, the group will see you differently, as someone in control, not to be messed with, and definitely not a punchline. 4. When you are provoked or taunted, master your emotions in a way no one expects. One of the most common tests you'll face comes from people who love to provoke. They throw jabs, make snide remarks, and push your buttons just to see how you'll lose control. They want you to get angry. They want you to react impulsively, because the moment you do, you've fallen into the psychological trap they set for you. But this is when you need to remember, whoever controls their emotions controls the situation. So what should you do when someone deliberately tries to provoke you? Don't get angry, don't argue, don't waste your time playing the emotional game they've created. Instead, use a more refined psychological move. Completely change the subject with a question that has nothing to do with the current situation. For example, if they've just tried to provoke you in front of others, smile calmly and say, "Do you know any good coffee shops around here?" Or something simple like, "I wonder if I put on too much cologne today." It may sound absurd, but that absurdity is your secret weapon. Your off-topic question throws them off balance. They can't keep attacking when you don't react the way they expect. Their negative momentum is cut short, like someone suddenly cutting the music in the middle of a loud song. The most important thing is to keep your tone natural, as if you're genuinely unbothered, as if your attention is on something higher, a different rhythm of life they can't reach. Why does this work so well? Because it shows others that you're not easily manipulated. You rise above provocation. You remain centered, and you're the one steering the direction of the moment. And you know what? That kind of calm intelligence is exactly what makes aggressors wary. They quickly realize that confronting you won't give them the upper hand, because you refuse to play by their rules. Emotional control is the sharpest form of counterattack, and sometimes a question that seems totally silly is the smartest way to make the provocateur back off on their own. 5. When you're not respected, walk away like someone who knows their worth. There's a truth we all have to face. No one is obligated to respect you, but that also means you are under no obligation to stay where your worth is ignored. Many people remain in toxic environments, shallow relationships, insincere social circles, or draining workplaces, simply because they fear being left behind, fear loneliness, or worse, fear others thinking they've lost. But here's what you must understand. Walking away is not defeat. On the contrary, it is the strongest declaration that you'd rather be a powerful absence than a disregarded presence. When you stay in places where you're not appreciated, you are silently allowing others to devalue you day by day. And the real danger? Over time, you may begin to doubt your own worth. So, learn to walk away quietly, without drama, without the need to explain yourself. Leaving in silence is a thunderous statement. It shows that you know exactly what you're worth, and you won't remain where your presence is not honored. People may not respect you, but they won't be able to ignore you when you walk away with strength and dignity. And it's in that moment they'll begin to feel the weight of your absence. They'll realize the space you left behind speaks louder than any words you could have said. Remember this: respect is never something to beg for. It comes naturally when you place your value above the need for shallow acceptance. And sometimes, the boldest, wisest move you can make is to turn your back and walk away. And finally, remember, this respect is not something you beg for, nor is it something that comes naturally. It is earned through the way you handle discomfort, through your calmness when belittled, your strength when underestimated, and your decisiveness when you choose to walk away. The more clearly you know your own worth, the harder it becomes for others to diminish you. And even if they fail to recognize your value, your presence or your absence will still leave a lasting impression. Be the kind of person who makes others think twice before disrespecting you, who commands respect in your presence, and who is remembered with a sense of loss when you choose to leave. Because above all, your dignity and your presence have always been in your hands.